Hello and welcome, podcast listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the pushy broad from the Bronx.
She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, a straight dog is nice. She's the pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
As always, thanks to Sam Gauthier, my sound man Sam, for composing and singing my original theme song. Here is the wonderful and talented Taylor Gauthier with information that we are required to produce. We have tried to make this enjoyable for you to hear.
Professional coaches provide an ongoing partnership designed to help clients produce fulfilling results in their personal and professional lives. Coaches help people improve their performances and enhance the quality of their lives. Coaching services received from certified life coach Ellen Stewart, the pushy broad from the Bronx, are not offered as a substitute for professional mental health care or medical care and are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any mental health or medical conditions. The pushy broad from the Bronx is not acting as a mental health counselor or a medical professional. All comments and ideas offered by Ellen Stewart, the pushy broad from the Bronx, are solely for the purpose of aiding her audience in achieving their goals and hopefully keeping you smiling in the process.
I am delighted to bring you my weekly podcast program, which I hope will inspire you, coach you, make you laugh, and give you the push moment you need to move forward. The topic of this podcast is red flags. These red flags are warning signs that immediately tell our brain that we should be cautious and direct our actions to come to a complete stop. It may be something as simple as,
I probably shouldn't eat this extra slice of pizza because I know that I'll have a stomachache afterwards.
But many times the red flags we see involve more important situations. These warning signs directly affect the decisions we make in choosing friendships, relationships, and careers and business decisions. So how do we identify a red flag? What does it feel like when we see one? How do we train our brain to recognize red flags more quickly and easily? What does it feel like to see a red flag and ignore it? And most importantly, how do we learn to honor those red flags and stop short of stepping over them? First, we have to remember that a red flag means danger. Crossing at a red light is dangerous and could get you killed. Failing to stop at a red stop sign is just as dangerous. Recklessly and needlessly marching into emotional situations may result in very unhappy and very short-lived relationships. Carelessly making career or financial decisions can have a disastrous effect on the rest of your life. There is nothing positive about a red flag, except when we value its most important attribute, that we always know when they are there. And sometimes we see them coming. We have a built-in warning system that senses danger, and this danger is communicated to our bodies and our brains in a variety of ways. We always know that a red flag means something is just not right. If you were kind enough to listen to my first ever podcast, you heard me say that my weekly show beginning on Mondays is divided into segments. The first one is called Everybody Needs a Little Push.
Everybody needs a little push. Everybody needs a little push. Everybody needs a little push.
Everybody needs push moments, reasons for doing the things that we do. A push moment can help to define your next move, or help you change direction, make a different decision, allow you to find your own voice, or even just help you to get through the day. This is where I talk to you about what the push moments have been for my clients or my listeners. Maybe it's been a defining moment because you have listened to a previous podcast and now you have made a positive change in your life. Maybe it's been a book you have read or a word or phrase you have heard or an experience you've had that you'd like to share. We'll spend a few minutes relating these positive short stories so that we can all benefit from your experience. I will be eager to hear from you. I'd like to know the following.
What was your push moment?
How did you arrive there?
What helped you get there?
What did you do as a result of your push moment?
Today's Everybody Needs a Little Push segment relates to our topic of the day, red flags. Here are some comments from my clients and listeners. See if you are sensing the red flags in each of them.
Dear Pushy Broad from the Bronx, I have been seeing my boyfriend for a while now, and as time goes on, I am learning more about him. In the beginning of the relationship, we saw each other on the weekends and then several times a week. But as our relationship progresses, he seems to have less and less time for me, telling me that he has work or he wants to spend time with his friends. Am I being too sensitive? Susan from Los Angeles.
If you find that there are drastic changes to the pattern of your relationship, and these changes bother you, then you are feeling a red flag. Your push moment is when he spends less and less time with you. You begin to feel that something is wrong. Since it's such a drastic change than your previous time together, then something may be wrong. This calls for confrontation. Act on your red flag. Talk to him. See if he's still feeling the same way about you and your relationship. Compromise and work out an equitable schedule that is agreeable to both of you. If you are still not satisfied, then maybe it's time to find a new relationship. Here's another red flag moment from one of our listeners.
Dear Pushy Broad from the Bronx, I met this great girl who works at my job. We've been hanging out for a while and have developed a friendship. Now we're both realizing that we're attracted to each other and would like to take this relationship from a friendship to dating. When we started to talk about it, she mentioned that she is currently in a long-distance relationship with a guy in Boston. I've considered taking the relationship to the next level anyway, but still just keeping it casual. What do you think? Rich from Connecticut.
I am sure that you are aware of two big red flags right away. First, workplace romances can be very delicate and tricky. Although we do spend so much of our time at work, it seems perfectly reasonable that we will meet people at work that we want to date. So first understand that if this relationship doesn't go well, you will still have to see this person every day at work. Second, I'm not a fan of being in a relationship where I am in second place. Anyone that you date who is currently in a relationship is not only a red flag, but a barricade of red flags. Make sure you understand exactly what you want and what you are getting into. We'll talk more about workplace romances and also talk about dating someone who is already involved in subsequent episodes.
Dear Pushy Broad from the Bronx, I am in a serious relationship with someone. One of the things I've noticed is that he continually seems impatient with my daughter. I am divorced with a young child and want a partner that will embrace me and my child as a family. I am hoping that as our relationship progresses, his feelings will change. What do you think? Donna from Minneapolis.
Here's the red flag. Being in a serious relationship means that you and your partner must embrace similar core values. Things that you value and are most important in your life must also be important in his. Your push moment is that disappointing feeling you have when he is impatient with your daughter. Listen to the red flag. Do not hope that his feelings will change as your relationship progresses. Confront him and ask direct questions about how he feels about your daughter and why he is so impatient. If you are not satisfied with the answers and do not immediately see a change in his behavior, then move on. This relationship may not be for you. Here is another.
Dear Pushy Broad from the Bronx, I'm about 6 months into a relationship and my girlfriend has started mentioning marriage. She's talking a lot about her friends who are married and telling me how she has dreamed of her wedding since she was a child. Although she hasn't directly come out and talked about the two of us getting married, I'm beginning to feel the pressure. What do I do? Bob from New Jersey.
Lots and lots of red flags here. If the topic of marriage is not in your vocabulary right now, then you must discuss that with your partner. Sustaining a relationship means that both partners are satisfied with the progression in the relationship and that its progress is comfortable for both of you. In other words, for the most part, you both must want the same things at the same time. Obviously, your push moment has come from her comments about marriage, which are not comfortable for you. Speak your mind. Tell her that you are feeling pressure. If you continue to feel pressured, then maybe it's time to change partners.
We've all had a push moment, and the Pushy Broad from the Bronx wants to hear some of yours. If you'd like to share your most defining moments for her Everybody Needs a Little Push segment, or want to ask a question for her No or Yes segment, or maybe you want to share your 10 minutes of tears moment, you can email her at ellen@pushybroadfromthebronx.com. We love reading all of your comments, questions, and push moments. You can be a part of an amazing group of people and get more access to the Pushy Broad from the Bronx by becoming a part of her email list. If we air your question or comment on the Pushy Broad from the Bronx podcast, for privacy purposes, we will change your name to protect the innocent. Or the guilty. We don't know. We're not judging. If you aren't ready to share with her just yet, or if you want more Pushy Broad from the Bronx goodness, join her Facebook group. Follow her on Instagram and Twitter. Be sure to check out her website, pushybroadfromthebronx.com.
When you need quick answers to things, when you need the push to finally make a decision about something, my second segment is called No or Yes.
When you need a quick answer, no BS. Ask the Pushy Broad and she'll say no or yes.
Sometimes a simple no, we call that a Bronx cheer, by the way, or yes, yes, is all you need. Sometimes we just want someone to say, no, don't do that.
Don't do that!
Or yes, that's a great thing to do.
That's a great thing to do.
That no or yes becomes the forceful and direct wake-up call to get you moving forward and get you off the treadmill of indecision. You know that should I stay or should I go question. So, here are some no or yes questions. You'll find the answers here.
I'm getting married in a few months. I've actually been having frequent nightmares about it. Should I consider this a red flag?
Yes. If you are feeling uncomfortable about something and it's winding up in your dreams, then you must stand up and take notice, especially if those dreams are frequent or reoccurring. This may be more than normal wedding jitters. Whatever constantly plagues you in your dreams must be dealt with when you are awake. Talk it out with your partner. Do not ignore the red flag. Here's another no or yes question.
Every time I go out with my girlfriend, it is either just the two of us or we're spending time with my friends. When I ask to join her and her friends, she tells me that she doesn't have any and prefers the company of mine. Is this a red flag?
Yes. This is a red flag. When someone says that they literally don't have any friends, then I'm wondering, why? And you should also be wondering why. You need to be asking this question. So what you decide to do next will depend upon her answers. Our next segment is called 10 Minutes of Tears.
When you're feeling sad and kind of blue, rather lost and not really in it, don't stay angry, lost or confused. 10 minutes of tears is certainly for you. Please cry, but only for 10 minutes.
The point of 10 Minutes of Tears are to help remind people that things always get better. We can feel those negative or sad emotions, but we can't dwell on them. We can't live there forever. We accept our roadblocks because we know they're there, and I'll give you suggestions to help you find ways to move forward, and maybe cry about it or laugh it off and try to find happiness through all of it. If we go through a bad experience in life, it's sometimes common for us to think, I should have seen that coming. I should have noticed the warning signs. Well, believe it or not, you did notice the warning signs, those pesky little red flags. Think about it for a minute. Your life is humming along and things are going just fine, and then it happens. Here's the red flag right in front of you. You've heard something or you witness behavior that immediately bothers you. Or maybe you have ignored that little voice in your head saying, don't do that. The red flag may give you a headache or put a growl in your stomach or a genuine pain in your heart. It may stop you in your tracks and you're thinking,
Wait a minute. I don't like what I'm hearing. This doesn't feel right.
This is your body and your brain identifying a red flag. That alarm goes off, even if it's just for a split second. But certainly you have noticed a slight shift in your thinking or your mood or your physical well-being. Even though we have the distinct feeling that something is not right here, we still might try to convince ourselves that we didn't see the red flag or we are capable of stepping over it. We begin that inner dialogue, that talk we have with ourselves. It may go something like this.
There's a red flag here, and I should stop and turn away, but...
I don't care. I'm going to do this anyway.
There's a red flag here, and I should not step over it, but...
I know there might be a problem here, but I'm an adult. Nobody can tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want, when I want.
There's a red flag here, and I know it means danger, but...
Ignoring this red flag makes me feel free and unencumbered by rules or regulations so that I don't have to be an adult. I can be a kid again.
There's a red flag here, and I should not ignore it, but...
If I pretend to ignore this red flag, maybe it will go away, or maybe it wasn't really there at all.
There's a red flag here, and I should not step over it, but...
I'll promise I'll handle this differently next time around. If it happens again, I promise I won't ignore the red flag.
There's a red flag here, and I should stop and turn away, but...
I'm not afraid of any red flag. I laugh in the face of danger, and I can mow it down and conquer it.
Despite all your best efforts, here you are. You have stepped over the line. You've seen the red flag, and you chose to ignore it, or laugh at it, or stare it in the face and belittle its importance. Whatever the reason, you have rationalized the red flag away. Now, you face the consequences of your actions. Stepping over a red flag never goes well. You may not see the negative effects right away, but trust me, you will. What does it feel like to see a red flag and ignore it? You may be feeling the negativity in a variety of ways. Maybe you're stressed or anxious. Maybe you're physically feeling ill. Maybe you're unhappy or frustrated. In pain, in panic, whatever the emotion, you can figure out that it's not a positive feeling. So here is your permission to take 10 minutes of tears and cry about it or scream about it and then come to the same conclusion you always do, what you invariably tell yourself.
I knew this wasn't going to work out well. I should have listened and paid attention to the red flag. I will not ignore that red flag next time.
But this time, I need you to mean it. Because we all know what happens when we ignore a red flag, don't we? The red flag gets bigger next time. First, the initial problem doesn't go away, and sometimes the problem is bigger than it was before. So don't ignore the red flags, or ignore them at your own peril. My fourth segment is called I'm Talking Here. It's where I focus on the topic of the day and begin talking about it, breaking it down. It's where I let the pushy broad come out completely and offer suggestions that will give you your push moment of the day or the week. So pay attention, listen, learn.
She's talking here. Are you listening? She's talking here.
Our bodies, including our gut, our hearts, and our heads, have wonderful built-in warning systems to detect red flags. If your body is giving you a signal that something isn't right, then something isn't right, period. Ignoring a red flag only allows it to grow, forcing us not to grow as mature and responsible adults. Ignoring a red flag always leaves us with negative feelings and outcomes that could sometimes be perilous. So, let's learn to be thankful for the red flags in our lives. The more we recognize them, respect them, and obey their presence, the happier and healthy we will be. This is Ellen Stewart, the pushy broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening. Please be sure to listen next week for our very special Episode 5, an exclusive interview with actor and playwright Michael O'Leary, the megastar of one of the longest-running soaps on TV, Guiding Light. You will not want to miss it.
The Pushy Broad from the Bronx would like to thank her production team: songwriter, composer, musician, and sound man Sam Goche, voice artist and announcer Taylor Goche. Oh, that's me! And thanks to collaborative writer and assistant production manager Richard Torres, virtual assistant and social media guru Kimberly Studdard. Special thanks to Laura Kravitz, production manager, and Susan Herman, collaborative writer. And a very special thanks to Love Love Studios in Brooklyn, for recording and mixing our music.
This is Ellen Stewart, the pushy broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening, and remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.